It's really great to be here. I'm so excited because my first experience telling in New York City was here in November of, I think it was 2008. And I shared a story at the open mic, and now here I am and I'm featured, and I'm so excited about that. So thank you so much, Barbara. I really appreciate that. As many people, my childhood was not idyllic, and I'm not alone in that. However, I'm a firm believer in the adage, you're never too old to have a happy childhood. And so I thank you. I have begun for a long time a journey toward living in joy and joyfully living. And it's a process and it's a progression. And my feeling is to share that joy. And I had great role models along the way. One of my favorite authors growing up was Astrid Lindgren, who wrote Pippi Longstocking. And Pippi became one of my nicknames. In my late 20s, I hung out with a group of artists, and it was great because over half of them had no idea what my real name was. They only knew me as Pippi. And I learned after reading more about Astrid that she climbed trees until she was in her mid-80s. And I think that's phenomenal, that she wrote about this character, but also lived that way. And she was a great role model for me. And I did write a couple quotes down that I haven't memorized. I wanted to share them with you about joy. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Since you get more joy out of giving joy to others, you should put a good deal of thought into the happiness you are able to give." Lord Byron agreed. I know, who'd have thunk it? To have joy, one must share it. Release the joy inside of another, and you release the joy inside of you. Neil Donald Welch. So tonight, my goal is to release some joy in you. And what we're going to do is we are going to get on the subway together. Now I know you're thinking, Kristin, that's the last place we are going to find any joy. And I would tend to agree with you, but perhaps after you hear the story, you might beg to differ too. So if you'll humor me, I'd like you to all close your eyes for a moment. We're going to go onto the subway, and I want you to picture the subway. It's crowded. It's rush hour. And on the subway, a few seats down, there's a woman with a toddler in a stroller, and the toddler starts to cry. And the woman, the mother, tries to calm the child, and no one helps her. And everyone's sitting on the subway, and it's crammed full, but no one's really connecting to anyone around them. People are scanning the ads overhead, staring out into space. Perhaps they're staring at their shoes or a magazine on their lap. Maybe it's a book that they're reading or the New York Times. And then Mike gets up. Mike starts walking down the center of the subway. "Good evening, my name's Mike, and I'm recently homeless. I lost my job, and my wife has cancer, and last week my dog ran away. And I'm just looking for a little bit of loose change. Anything you can give me, it'll help. I just need to get some food into my belly." And no one really listens to his story, and he continues. And then the mariachi band gets on board. And the mariachi band plays loudly and out of tune, and everyone with their MP3 players plugged into their ears turns the volume up a little bit louder. And no one connects with anyone. And then I get on board. I smile. I reach into my bag and I pull out a little bottle of bubbles. And I start to blow them. You can open your eyes. I start to blow these bubbles on the subway, as I've done since November of 2008. I always carry them with me in my purse because you never know when you might have a bubble emergency. I've carried bubbles in my purse since about 1994 when I used to commute from my small town. It was a small town called Pittsburgh down to Philadelphia. And I had to drive on the Schuylkill Expressway, which was cram-packed with cars. We called it the parking lot. And I would carry bubbles in my car because they helped me to feel better. So one time when I had the bubbles in my car, I got them out and I started to blow them. And it was amazing because the people in the cars around me rolled down their windows. And I had someone in a car next to me say, "Can you blow some of those into here?" And I said, "Sure," and I did. So I knew that bubbles made people smile. So I got them out on the subway and I started to blow them, and their reaction was fantastic. It really was. The woman who had the crying toddler that toddler looked up, started to smile and reach out and grab the bubbles from out of the sky. So I blew some more, and then I reached into my purse. I always carry plenty to share. And if you look on the table where you're sitting, there should be a bottle of bubbles, and if you didn't get one, I'll hand some out to you, because I encourage you to blow bubbles too, and perhaps on the subway when you go home. And I gave her a bottle of bubbles, and she looked so relieved, and she smiled and thanked me, and she started blowing bubbles. And then I saw this woman across from me. She was maybe in her mid-70s. And she had the biggest smile on her face, and her eyes were twinkling, and she smiled and she said, do you have more? And I said, yes, I do. And I reached into my bag and I gave her a bottle, and she started blowing those bubbles, smiling and just laughing. And it was great. So now we were 3. And we were blowing bubbles, and the people around us, I noticed even if they weren't interacting with the bubbles, people were smiling. And some people started to talk to each other, and it was fantastic. And then when that woman got off of the subway, she waved, she took the bubbles, she did not walk. This woman skipped down the platform blowing bubbles. And the people around her smiled. So she took that joy with her, and that's the goal, is to share that joy with others so that they too can have a moment. You know, happiness is fleeting, bubbles are fleeting too, but joy can continue. It can be something that you choose. I had the pleasure last weekend of going to a conference called Performing the World, and if you are in the city in October of 2012, I encourage you to go. It's a fantastic conference. Artists from all over the world, storytellers, theatrical people, visual artists, print artists, photographers, singers, mimes, improv people, they all get together. And the idea is changing the world through performance. And can performance change the world? Our keynote speaker was Patch Adams. And Patch Adams, he was amazing. And he's one of those people. Patch Adams is a clown doctor. He's both things equally. And if you've ever heard his life story, it didn't start out in joy, as mine didn't either. And seeing him speak, it's a conscious effort. And he left us with, I wanted to share another quote that he left us with. Living in joy and happiness is a choice. It is something we can choose no matter what our circumstances. Amen. And he shared that after telling us about his own life story, about being bullied. I was too. He had tried to kill himself 3 times. I'd never gone quite down that dark path, but I did have quite, my childhood was no fun. But again, it's never too late to have that happy childhood. You can have it. And he really encourages people to live in joy. Find what makes you joyful. E.B. White said that joy comes in different shapes and sizes and ways, and that if your joy is picking grapes or folding laundry, live it. Your joy doesn't have to be some huge thing. And I encourage you, those little things that you enjoy doing, if it's blowing bubbles, great. Sidewalk chalk. I don't have any kids, but I have sidewalk chalk. I have got a whole bag full of fun things. Jumping in puddles. Maybe not so much right in, the streets because it's kind of filthy, but hey, if you're in Central Park and there's a puddle, go ahead and jump in it. Do things that make you happy and share that with others. And speaking of happiness, I want to share